14 years ago, I deployed to the other side of the earth to provide medical support to the front lines of Afghanistan. I thought being a combat medic attached to the infantry in one of the only black zones in the war would be the worst experience of my life. I thought routinely seeing trucks that looked like this after IED explosions, or taping the nose back on of the guy who was in this vehicle, or the burn guy who had 99% of his body covered in third-degree burns that I cannot show photos of without having the video taken down. I thought all that, which made me look like this when candid photos were taken of me, or this. Well, I was convinced that that was going to be the worst experience of my life. I thought I'd get home and everything would be smooth sailing because I'd already experienced the worst humanity has to throw at me. You stupid slut! There's not even gonna be a house! I had to start dealing with the VA, who called me a liar for complaining about the injuries that I received during that war. And because the VA called me a liar, I had to go back to work on an ambulance where I saw even more horrific things. And then my partner was killed by a drunk driver. And then I had to treat a child who was thrown out of a building by his abusive parents. Or another who was burned to death because their parent wanted a cigarette in bed. Things got so bad that I became catatonic at work and had to be driven down to the VA and given a pair of grippy socks while still wearing my paramedic uniform. You can imagine the nurse's surprise when two uniformed paramedics walked in with no patient and they said, "Where's the patient?" And we had to point at me. I was medically retired off my ambulance and out of the military, and my job became not becoming a statistic. And that wasn't good enough for me, so I went back to college and learned how to talk good so that I could spread the message of how bullshit this is. And then some 150 million views in, the Afghanistan war was ended. And I watched Americans retroactively pretend that they were against it the entire time. 20 years of war, thousands of dead friends, phone call at least every month from a guy I haven't talked to in years, informing me that another guy I haven't talked to in years is now a statistic. Also that Americans could boil it down to a mistake. People started calling me a baby killer more often, and an imperialist, and laughing at my dead friends. I naively thought that would be the worst bit. I wrote all these experiences down in a book, and a year ago on Veterans Day, I tried to get a publisher, and I found one. And I went through a 4-month process of writing a pitch for my book about the experiences of being a veteran. And then that agent told me to scrap everything I'd written about PTSD and living with the trauma and give us more of those cool war stories. That's what's gonna sell. We need more cool medical stories in the war. Nobody wants to hear about how hard it is to live after the fact. And now, a year later, I've watched the American people, after ignoring my war and then turning on me for my war, go out and overwhelmingly vote for authoritarianism. The ones who even bothered to vote, that is. Because while me and a huge chunk of my generation went to war on behalf of America, a lot of people can't be bothered to get off the couch